What's up? It's your boy, I Know Mercy, the Mad Hatter, here again with another trailer review. This time talking about the new Captain America Civil War trailer. Which, honestly... Okay, so... I never really did any kind of reviews or videologs or anything like that about the previous Civil War trailers because, honestly, I never actually gave much of a crap. I mean, I'm probably gonna see this movie, and I'm sure it's gonna be pretty good since Marvel really hasn't made an outright terrible movie before. I'd say the worst they came close to um, was Captain was Iron Man 2, and 3 wasn't that good either, but that's only because they kind of fucked up the Mandarin. I've heard that Dark World wasn't that good, but I haven't actually seen the whole thing yet, so I really can't say. But so I'm pretty sure Civil War is going to be good. I just haven't had much interest in it, honestly, and and really, I really had nothing to really talk about with the trailers. I talked about the trailer briefly in my Star Wars review, and in that I did question whether or not there was going to just be about the conflict was just going to be um, Cap hiding Bucky, or if they're going to bring the Superhero Registration Act into this. And it's clear that they are going to do that now. It isn't just about Cap hiding Bucky. It is going to be about Tony and certain other heroes thinking that, considering all the damage that they did with the Battle of New York, the Shield helicarrier in Winter Soldier. I haven't seen Winter Soldier. Um, the giant town that plummeted out of the sky, Wachovia. I think no, that's the shit that went down with Ultron in Avengers 2. They think, yeah, we should probably, you know, be a little bit more accountable to this shit. I mean, it is not like we saved the world doing all that thing, so the collateral damage can be overlooked, because, you know, alien invasion, secret Nazi organization trying to turn the world's weapons against itself, psychotic AI. Well, okay, that one was kind of Tony's fault, so. But I'm just saying, like, yeah, the superheroes tend to cause a lot of collateral damage, but they're also saving the fucking planet. Like, sure, a bunch of people died in the Battle of New York, but a lot more people would have died if they hadn't. Yeah, a bunch of people died in the Battle of New York, but a lot more people, possibly the entire planet, would have died if they hadn't stepped in. And remember, probably the same dudes that are initiating this registration act were going to launch a nuke at Manhattan. So, you know, like, they actually saved a lot more people than the people who are accusing them of being destructive would have actually done. I really hope they bring that up. Like, I really hope. Okay, so you think we're doing a lot of damage. You are going to nuke a major metropolitan city. Think about that for a second. And what's really funny is that Tony, who both in the comics and in this movie is one of the biggest advocates for the Superhuman Registration Act, which does make sense considering his basic journey throughout his three individual movies and the 2 Avengers movies. Like, it makes sense that he would come to this conclusion. So, like, I can't say that's completely out of character, because it isn't. Cap is one of those characters that doesn't really change from story to story, and it's actually a good thing that he doesn't. Cap is kind of like Batman. It's not so much how he's changed by it's not so much how he's changed by the events that happen to him. It's how he isn't changed by the events that happen to him. Steve is already pretty much he is the best person you can imagine someone being. He was already morally and mentally the best person you could have imagined at the beginning of Captain America, and the experiments that made him into Captain America are what make him physically the best person you can imagine being. Now he is both mentally, now he is mentally, physically, and morally. Um, I honestly kind of want to say the perfect person. I mean, he's not a perfect person. He makes mistakes. He does fuck up. He does learn from his mistakes, but he doesn't change. Like he doesn't go through some sort of major epiphany that changes his entire outlook on the world. He changes how he views things. Yes, he changes how he approaches things, but his basic moral compass goes in one direction, and his story is about that not changing. He always does what he believes is right, and that's why Cap is against the Superhero Registration Act, and like the two major leading factions, the way they are on which side does make sense. Um, and the people who are helping him also make sense. Who are on each side do make sense. Thor's not in this obviously because I think I get why Thor isn't part of this. He kind of went the fuck off on after Age of Ultron. He's doing his own thing in Asgard, and he's probably getting ready for Ragnarok, which is coming out. I don't think I think next year or the year after. I'm not entirely sure. And obviously Rhodes is gonna back. War Machine is gonna back up Tony on this, and one thing I do get is this is the first time Black Panther is being introduced in this expanded universe, and him siding with Tony actually does make sense. T'Challa is a king. He is all about order and you know control and whatnot, and T'Challa is probably really at least somewhat freaked out by all this crazy shit that's happening all around the world, and the Avengers just sort of seemingly doing whatever the fuck they want. And like, it isn't exactly that, but it is, that's what it might seem to an outsider. And I guess he would come to the conclusion that superhumans do need to be regulated and restrained and stuff like that. And so I can see him siding with Tony. I'm not sure how the fan base in general feels about Black Widow siding with Tony against Cap, especially since it seems like Widow and Cap's relationship seem really close. Like they're close friends, and the entirety of Winter Soldier, she was at his side and helping him through everything like that. But I can see why she would side with Tony on this one, even though I don't think Widow likes Tony all that much. This is just me. This is just where I'm coming from, but I do see why she would side with the Registration Act, because it is it is the whole control. It is control and understanding thing. She doesn't have any powers, so she would want cats like Scarlet Witch to be at least, if not kept under wraps, at least under surveillance. Make sure they don't do anything insane or anything like that. And Vision, I can kind of get why he would side with the Registration Act too, because he was created by part of Ultron, who his entire plan was the world is too chaotic and it needs to be regulated, and all the humans have to die in order for things to be perfect and orderly and shit like that. So, like, he isn't going that far with it. He isn't trying to kill anyone. He's just wants people. He does want people to be safe and be protected, um, and and regulating people who with extraordinary powers would be the best way to do that. And there's sort of burgeoning superhero esque society. So, Spider-Man, I honestly don't get. like like that was the big surprise in this, that at the end, the pro registration side and the anti registration side are kind of facing off, and I guess Cap and Tony are talking for a little bit, and Tony just says Underoos, and like he says, I'm running out of patience. Underoos, and Spider-Man comes up, webs Captain America's shield out of his hands, webs Captain America's hands up, and lands on a car and just says, "Hi there." like, like this is the first time we get to see this version of Spider-Man, and I like the costume. I really do. I like the costume. I think the squinting eyes are a bit much. I don't think they should have done that, personally. But the costume itself, it does look really good, and it is cool that we're seeing this new Spider-Man so soon. I am personally a little bit disappointed they didn't keep using Andrew Garfield, but I guess they decided to go with a younger Spider-Man, and you know, with the Amazing Spider-Man series, it already established that Peter is out of high school. He's starting college now, and I guess they wanted a younger, just starting out Spider-Man who, like I would imagine, in a lot of early Spider-Man stories where the expanded Marvel universe is involved, they usually have Peter being a big fan of the big brains of the Marvel universe, like Tony and Reed Richards and guys like that. And like I get that he would probably, especially if he was starting out, why Peter would decide to side with Tony, because he's Iron Man. He knows what's going on, and it is his thing with power and responsibility. Like, if you abuse your power, you're not, like, if you have power, you need to be responsible, and he probably figures that going with the registration side is the best way of doing that. And I think that was his choice in joining the registration side, the pro registration side in the comics. Personally, I've never read Civil War, the comics, so I'm not really sure how it actually plays out. I do know how certain things played out in the book. Peter revealed himself. Peter got the new Iron Spider suits. He revealed himself to be Spider-Man. One more day happened, and Cap got shot at the end. The pro registration side won, even though apparently they were actually being shown as being in the wrong throughout the entire book. And considering this is called Captain America Civil War, I'd imagine that Cap would be considered, Cap side would be considered in the right, and I wonder if they're still gonna have the pro registration side win, which, okay, you can argue that it doesn't make much sense, but you can also argue that that's just how shit works in real life. Like, even if a law is wrong, it'll sometimes still it will still be passed. So like I'm not sure how this is actually going to end, but I do think it is going to be interesting. The guys on Cap's side, I think most of them make sense. Ant-Man's on Cap's side, which he's a thief, so that's like I get that. He doesn't want anyone knowing. I can't say he doesn't want anyone knowing that he's Ant-Man, because he tells like a bunch of people that he's Ant-Man. But I get that he wouldn't want to be. I get that he wouldn't want to be registered and held down and stuff like that, especially since he has a daughter to take care of. But Scarlet Witch, I can absolutely get wanting to be wanting to be against the Registration Act because of how she and Pietro were raised. They were both basically raised by Hydra and kept in little boxes, and the powers were recorded and categorized and studied, and they were poked and prodded and all sorts of shit. So it makes, like I said, it does make sense that Wanda would be against the Registration Act. I'm actually kind of blanking on a bunch of the characters on the pro registration side. Obviously, Falcon and Bucky are going to be against it because they're siding with Cap, and so okay. So I guess that might be all of them. I actually don't remember. Um, but yeah, this movie it might be good. I honestly can't really say, like honestly getting to this point after I've gone over everything I had to say about Spider-Man being in this is kind of the big thing. Like I heard that he was going to be in secret Civil War, and I was interested in seeing how they were going to work him into it, and what they were going to do with him. And no, I know. I'm kind of blanking on the kid they have playing him. I think it's Tom Holland or something like that. I'm not sure. But he only had one line, so you really can't tell how good he's gonna be. Like, it was a very Spider-Man line. Like, if that makes, like, just saying hello there after stealing Cap's shield, like, that's a very Spider-Man thing to do. Like, just, like, Spider-Man either downplays things to the point where they seem mundane, even though they're extraordinary, or just makes a mountain out of a molehill. There's no real in between with Spider-Man, and I think that's why a lot of people like him so much. And yeah, that's about it. I'm interested in it. I'm interested. I do want to see this movie. I am curious where they're gonna go with it. Whether they're going to have Cap get shot in the head. They had Bucky shoot War Machine's arc reactor, and like he's out of the fight, and like I'm actually curious how the actual fight, like the actual Civil War, I guess, is actually going to work, because in the way I understood it, Civil War was actually a civil war. Like, it had every hero in the Marvel universe fighting against each other, and so far it doesn't really seem like they're doing that. It really just seems like it's small groups of heroes fighting each other. Obviously Thor and Hulk aren't going to be in this. I don't know if Hawkeye's going to be in it. I think he is, although I don't think he is. I think he might be, but he might have stayed on that farm from Age of Ultron and just been with his wife and kid. And if he is in this, I honestly can't tell which side he's gonna be on, because, on one hand he is really close with Widow, but on the other hand, he seems like the kind of guy who would say fuck authority and just do what he wants. So, I'm not really sure what side Hawkeye would actually be on if he was in this movie, which I don't even know if he is. And yeah, that's about it. I'm actually surprised I was able to talk about this is as much about this as I have. So yeah, that's about it. I'll see y'all later.